Hey guys, what's going on? Jebb here, and in today's video, we finally got something to talk about because as you guys probably noticed, yesterday Bitcoin managed to break above the all-important level of resistance of the 20 daily exponential moving average. And in fact, right after that, we rejected at the 50 daily simple moving average, and now we are testing the 20 DEMA, not as resistance, but this time as support. Guys, volatility has been absent from the Bitcoin market for the last several weeks, and finally, we've had some movement. So in today's video, we're going to be breaking down exactly what this movement means, and I'm going to be showing you where I think Bitcoin is heading, because right now, we are in another critical decision phase. Bitcoin rallying $100 to the upside or crashing $100 to the downside could trigger a snowball event and result in a major movement in Bitcoin, and I am very much looking forward to either movement because I'm tired of Bitcoin trading sideways. Tell me what you think about that in the comments section. Anyway, guys, before we jump on into it, if you do enjoy today's video, consider hitting that like and subscribe button. Let's try to get to like 1,200 likes today. I bet we can do that. Go down there and hit that like button. It helps out the YouTube algorithm. I'd be very appreciated. Smash that like button until it's black and blue, and then we will be able to get on with the video. No, but for real though, guys, anyway, without much further ado, let's go ahead and dive right on into it. Before we get started, if you don't have your cup of coffee, I have my cup of coffee in my Pura Vida mug. If you don't have coffee, you're instructed to go get coffee, because if you're watching cryptocurrency technical analysis and you don't have coffee, that's just some form of heathenry. I'm pretty sure there's a couple Bible verses that talk about that, but we're not even going to get into that. Just, I'm warning you, go get your coffee, pause the video. This is the only time I will ever tell you to click off a video. Pause the video, go get oh, you're back? Okay, let's jump into it. Okay, let's do this. Guys, Bitcoin rallied above the 20-day... As I was saying, Bitcoin rallied above the 20 daily exponential moving average yesterday, and we rejected at the 50. If you will remember to yesterday's video, I had this to say. You'd want to have an entry around 92.70, like we said, and you'd want to have a stop loss almost immediately below the 20 DEMA. And if we look at that trade, as you can see, it's a small trade, but it is a 3 times risk to reward ratio trade, which is a very good thing. As we talked about in yesterday's video, there was a halfway decent trade to be set up, and if you took the trade that I showed you in yesterday's video, here's what you would have made. With no leverage, you would have made 1.37%. With 10x leverage, you would have made 13.7%. And with 25x leverage, you would have made 34% on that trade in a day. Even experienced traders normally shoot for less than 100% in profit a month. In the stock market, they shoot for more like 5 to 10, maybe. Do you understand the power of technical analysis now? We called this, and if you had to follow through with that trade, there's a pretty good amount of money that you could have made, especially if you were using leverage. By the way, we do have a Bybit referral link. If you would like to leverage trade, I do warn you, I would not leverage trade if you have less than 2 years experience in the market, but if you do, then you can use our link to help the channel. That is down below. Anyway, as far as what happens next, Bitcoin has broken above the 20 daily exponential moving average, which is obviously a very good sign. Bitcoin has also rejected at the 50 daily simple moving average, which means we are in a zone of trial. We are in a zone of tribulation. We need to find out what Bitcoin is going to do from here, and that is entirely dependent on these two moving averages. As you can see, we rejected at the 50, not the 20 yesterday, but now we're testing the 20 as support. What that means is that we find ourselves in almost a little bit of a pennant pattern. If Bitcoin breaks to the upside, well, we have precedent to continue moving to the upside, and if we break to the downside, exactly the opposite, precedent for moving to the downside. But here's the rub. Here's the thing. Bitcoin needs to break to the upside. Here's why. If we break below the 20 DEMA again, that would be the third time that we have done that in the last little while. Once, twice, 3 times. We don't want that to happen, because if that happens, we are likely pulling all the way back down to below $9,000 to this recent low, and probably even lower. If we breach $9,000, that is going to give strength to the bears, and that could result in something pretty bad. So we really don't want to break back to the downside now that we've broken to the upside. And guys, it actually makes a lot of sense that Bitcoin is flagging out right here, because if you look down the 4-hourly chart, Bitcoin is rejecting at the 4-hourly 200 SMA and the 4-hourly 100 SMA. Looking at the 4-hourly, Bitcoin is in a trading range also with very similar moving averages. So guys, the good thing here is that Bitcoin has rallied into this, which means there is a high likelihood that Bitcoin will break to the upside. We can certainly hope that that does happen. But I'll be honest, I'm almost more worried about Bitcoin breaking up and bullish out of this and not doing anything with that than I am about Bitcoin breaking to the downside. Because if Bitcoin breaks up here and rejects again, that's just really not the sign that we wanted to see. Remember what we've talked about in the last week. Bitcoin needed to break the 20 DEMA to start an uptrend. That was number 1. Number 2, Bitcoin needed to break this downtrend of resistance right here, which so happens to be lining up with the 50. And then we needed to break $9,800. If Bitcoin breaks this second level, then that means we're going to rally up here, and we're more than likely going to test this level. If we reject here, that would be very sad. So will Bitcoin do that? Let's look at the analysis. Well, as you guys might know, there is actually some pretty good news on Bitcoin as far as the analysis is concerned. First of all, on the daily chart, we have had a bullish cross on the MACD below the 0 level on the histogram. This is a very good sign because it means that Bitcoin has not only bullish strength, but also since we're below the histogram, we are going to be dragged up towards the histogram on top of the bullish pressure that we're now seeing coming out of Bitcoin, which is definitely a bullish thing. We've also got the stochastic RSI trending upwards, which is always going to be a bullish signal. As you guys will remember, we had the 100 cross the 200. We talked about the significance of that yesterday. We're also seeing the 20 DEMA start to trend to the upside with the 50 trending downwards, which means we very well may be seeing a bullish golden cross between these in the next couple of weeks, which would be a very good sign. And of course, we can't forget that a new weekly candlestick has opened, and when it did that, we saw this bullish cross right here. If you haven't heard about this cross yet, we've talked about that in many videos. This is the fourth one of these that has ever happened in the history of Bitcoin. All three previous kicked off a major bull market. Stochastic RSI is actually starting to converge on itself. If we had a histogram for Stoch RSI, we'd see it shrinking. And the RSI on weekly chart obviously has much more room to run. On our previous bull market in 2019, we reached all the way up to 80. We're only sitting at 55. And to top that all off, guys, of course, Bitcoin is above all of its major support on the longer-term charts. Of course, Bitcoin rallied here and has been flagging out. We have not seen any bearish momentum driving Bitcoin very strongly to the downside. That's why for the last 2 weeks, I've been talking about a gradual, slow trend to the downside until something happens. Bitcoin has locked in these gains. It is comfortable to sit up here. By the way, notice this. Bitcoin rallied up to these levels before the corona news hit, and Bitcoin was already going into a downtrend before the news had anything to do with this market. What that means is that here, BC, before corona, Bitcoin was already going into a downtrend. Now, AC, what's a D? AC, even with corona, Bitcoin is managing to maintain above $9,000, which is what we couldn't do before the news of virus hit. That is just one of many signs of the underlying intrinsic value that we've been talking about. We've seen the halving, stock to flow, influx of cash, valuation and investment, retail and institutional investor interest. Guys, there is so much going on in Bitcoin right now. I got an email from one of our subscribers the other day about how he just installed a Bitcoin ATM in his petrol station, his gas station. It's absolutely amazing the things that are happening in cryptocurrency behind the scenes, and everybody's so caught up looking at the price that nobody understands the bullish factors that are going on behind closed doors. Hell, behind open doors. No one's paying attention to it. And that's really sad because when we look at the short term, it is going to be a reflection of the long term. And right now, the long term is very bullish, which means that that is going to reflect on the short term because, as you know, there's a stack of importance in your technical analysis. Longer term analysis always overrides shorter term technical analysis if you give it enough time. And the fact is, longer term TA is bullish, which means that that is going to provide a bullish bias to the short term technical analysis. So here's what I'm here to say. Even if Bitcoin breaks to the downside here, even if it breaks the 20 DEMA, which it very well may do. I'm not making a call on that because, quite frankly, this could go either way, and there's not a great way of predicting this. The TA says that we should break to the upside, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to happen. Even if Bitcoin breaks to the downside, Bitcoin will get support at the 200 daily simple moving average, and we will bounce from there, and the longer-term technicals will drive us to the upside. You want my prediction? That's my prediction. In the worst-case scenario, we just have to wait a couple more weeks, a couple more months for bullish momentum to return to Bitcoin. It's simply a fact that with all of the nonsense going on in the global economy right now, Bitcoin had the biggest bull market of any asset, including gold by percentages, by the way. Gold rallied 12%. Bitcoin rallied nearly 120. It's flagged out up here, locking in these gains, building massive VPVR support, and when we rally above 10K, guys, you can bet your bottom dollar that we're probably never going back below it ever again. We did the exact same thing with $6,000. Bar this fluke, Bitcoin probably would never have gone back below $6,000. I think we're about to do the exact same thing to 10. So tell me your opinions on that in the comment section down below. First of all, where do you think Bitcoin's going on the short term? Do you think we're going to break above the 50 or below the 20? Second of all, do you think in the long term Bitcoin is about to have a big break to the upside? I am betting that it is, and I really think it's coming soon rather than later. I think it's going to come before the end of the year, obviously, but I also think it's going to come before the end of the quarter. I believe that we're going to be seeing a lot of bullishness on Bitcoin relatively shortly. Check this out. In this descending, expanding trading channel that everybody's been talking about, where has Bitcoin been trading for the majority of it? Well, as you can see, Bitcoin was spending quite a bit of time down here around the support for a very long time. Not as much time up against the resistance, as you can see right here. But what's Bitcoin doing now? Bitcoin is spending all of its time up here. Notice how long we've been trading here. We've been trending sideways here for 74 days. Jeez, it's been that long. Bitcoin traded sideways here for 30, which, considering it was a smaller pattern pattern back then. That's about, relatively speaking, a similar size. And then here we traded sideways for 50 days down here. But guess what we're doing now? We're trading sideways longer than those markets did against the resistance, not the support. Remember what we talk about in CT2A. The more you trade against resistance, the more likely you are to break the resistance. The more you trade against support, the more likely you are to break the support. Where's Bitcoin right now? Smack bang against the resistance. If you don't think Bitcoin is going to break to the upside, either one, you are not seeing the evidence, or two, I am not seeing the evidence. It's one of the two. I'm wrong or you're wrong. One of them. I'd love to hear in the comment section down below. I'm humble enough to admit when I'm wrong, so let me know if you think I'm wrong. I would love to hear it. I'd rather be profitable than right, because I'd rather be, if I'm trying to get to Maine, be driving towards Maine, not be driving towards Texas and not willing to accept a criticism of my route path by someone that I talk to. It makes absolutely no sense to let your ego and your pride get in the way of someone correcting you with helpful, constructive criticism. So let me know if I'm wrong. I would love to hear it, but I don't think I am. Anyway, guys, that is going to wrap it for today's video. Before we go, though, if you do enjoy today's video, if you did enjoy today's video, consider hitting that like and subscribe button down below. Really helps out the channel. Let's see if we can get to 1,200 likes. I think we can do it. And also, guys, anything that you'd like to see on this channel, any patterns you'd like me to talk about, any altcoins you'd like me to talk about. I know all of you are going to say Link because Link has been exploding lately. Anything you'd like to see covered on this channel, let me know down below. I'd love to hear it because we are always looking for ways to please our subscribers. So if you need anything to be covered, let us know and we will consider it. Anyway, guys, I'm about to go do the Coffee and Crypto morning live stream with what's left of my morning Joe there. So if you would like to get access to that, you can join the first cohort with the link in the description down below, and you will get access to our private morning live streams 5 days a week. But with that said, guys, I think that covers everything we need to talk about here today. Before we go, though, I do just first want to thank each and every single last one of you for watching, as always, and I will see you guys next video. Peace.
Oh, I got a real good feeling.